We have a strong message in the scriptures tonight, our responsorial psalm. Lord, on the day I called for help, you answered me. That reassurance that whenever we call on God for help, he will answer us. The truth is that God hears our every prayer and answers it on the very day that we ask him. However, in our own experience, we say, but sometimes we don't get the answer that day. And true, it may not come immediately, but he has answered it. I know in my own life experience, there's times when I prayed so hard for something that I thought was the best thing for me and others, and it took 5 or 10 years before I understand why God didn't answer it right then. And so I think what the Lord calls us to is to have patience. We know in faith that he loves us more than we can even imagine. And if our parents will give us good things, like he says in the gospel, would you give your son a snake rather than a fish? How much more will God give us? And so he gives us what we need. He gives us what's best for us at the time. And that's not always easy just to accept. But in our hearts, we have to know that if God is with me, whatever is happening, he knows what's going on. He knows where I'm leading, and he's always with me no matter what happens. And that's the strength of our prayer. Queen Esther was in a very difficult position. She was a very good woman, and she was a model queen for the king, always respecting and doing whatever he asked of her. He was a very strong, though, and powerful man. One thing that the king did not know was that she herself was a Jew, and she feared what would happen if he found that out. And she also feared even approaching him for something because he was a strong man. And in fact, the law at that time was that if anyone just went up uninvited to approach the king, they would be put to death. So she was in a very difficult position. And yet Haman, who was so jealous of her and of the king, wanted to kill all of her kinspeople, all of her Jewish friends and neighbors and relatives. And she had to do something. And so she prayed fervently with her friends all day long, appealing to God for help. And not hearing the answer, she trusted. And she began to go towards the king, risking her own life for the love of her people. What she didn't know was that God had already answered it, and she would find out when she got there. And so when she told the king the problem, he became furious that someone was going to hurt his wife, Esther. And he answered her prayers by stopping Haman and all of his troops from hurting her people. She trusted in God. She didn't know for sure how he was going to answer it, but she still took the risk of going and doing what she felt she had to do. And I think we can be in that position too at times that, all right, we prayed hard and we're not sure what's going to happen, but we have to accomplish what's before us. And so we go through it and into it with confidence that God will be with us no matter what. And so in this Lenten season, that's what we're called, is to understand that whenever we call upon the Lord in prayer, he will be there for us. And if we do that, then the first thing we pray for is that he help us to develop our spiritual life and that he help us to grow closer to him. And in doing that, we have the assurance that God is with us and we can go without fear. What do they say? That peace is not the absence of problems or war. Peace is realizing that in my heart and soul, God is present with me. And if he's the center of my life, then no matter what's happening, I can be at peace because God is with me. You know how a child is when there's danger going on? They just simply cling to their father and mother with the trust that they're there for them and they'll help them and they'll protect them. And they just do it instinctively. And so God wants us to be that way too, to cling to him in times of trouble and knowing that he is with us always. Let us stand and offer our prayers and petitions.